Warning. Anime Hour is a segment nowhere near an hour long where I review a particular anime of my choice. Anything that is said is my opinion, and you are free to agree or disagree with it as you see fit. That being said, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the video. Tonight we'll be reviewing Monthly Girl's Nozaki-Kun, the glorious anime about a schoolgirl asking out the love of her life that will finally, once and for all, teach us all how to make senpai notice you. Oh. For some reason, the comedy genre isn't one that I've really gotten into. It's not that I haven't seen or enjoyed comedy shows in the past, they just never actively grabbed or engaged me the same way other genres do. They always seem to either be a series about some loser trying to get an oblivious idiot to notice them, a show centered around one really obnoxious character and the way everyone reacts to them, or the opposite, taking one sane person and throwing them into a crowd of lunatics while we tune in to watch the fun. Not that this is inherently wrong or that there aren't comedic anime that do other things, mind you, but to me that's how the genre usually is. And part of the reason this frustrates me is because many of these sorts of shows tend to end abruptly without resolving the one or two plot threads they actually have. Couple all this with the fact that the average comedy show has the maturity and restraint of a 14-year-old boy, and it's not hard to see why I'm not the biggest fan. Of course, it doesn't help I'm a fairly tough audience when it comes to comedy, so even the greatest of jokes will only get wry chuckles that seem more out of pity than out of actual human reaction. Plus, I am an American male, which means that if I watch some tits or something blowing up every 5 seconds, I'm going to pass out from boredom, and then I'll be legally obligated to post an ignorant comment demanding this problem be solved in some way that involves tits and explosions, and then go bitch about it on Tumblr. With all that in mind, you might be wondering why the hell am I reviewing a comedy anime if I'm not particularly attached to the genre in the first place. I could answer that with a serious answer, but to give you the short version, it's because I want to, so fuck it, let's do it. We follow Sakura Chiyo, a young schoolgirl as she decides to ask out her crush, Nozaki Yumataro, a man so incredibly dense he manages to misunderstand the whole thing and hires Sakura on as an assistant to help him with his part-time job of creating shoujo manga. And since it put her next to the love of her life, Sakura just kinda decides to go along with it. Along the way meeting the others who help Nozaki write his manga, and then some stuff happens, then some more stuff happens, and then something about shoujo manga. I would like to say more, but realistically, Nozaki doesn't have what you would call a plot. In fact, the only thing it really seems to have is comedy. There's none of that pesky action and drama here. Nozaki doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. It's a comedy show and doesn't try to anything but. Which makes reviewing it more than a little annoying on my end. See, the problem with reviewing comedy is that comedy by its very nature is subjective, and varies from one person to the next. What I find funny, you may not find funny, and vice versa. So simply telling you that the show is funny isn't really going to work. And if I sit down and tell you the best jokes the show has to offer, then I can guarantee I'll be killing all the potential Nozaki has for you. In other words, providing an objective and fulfilling analysis of it for a review is a lot like trying to masturbate with your mind. It'll make for an entertaining attempt for a little bit, but try as you might, it's just not happening, and you and everyone involved are destined to walk away feeling disappointed. So the best I can really offer as far as a review goes is just to tell you what sort of humor to expect and whether or not I think it successfully manages to be as funny as it can. So, question of the day. Do I think the humor in Nozaki works? Hell fucking
yes.
It does everything a comedy show needs to do, and it does it well enough that even as a killjoy with a comedic sense of a dead squirrel, this show always had me either laughing or at the very least smiling as I watched along with it. While it never managed to get me to laugh incredibly hard at it, the fact remains Nozaki is one of the funniest shows of the season and manages to make a joke out of almost every possible moment it can, which is something I can respect even if I personally wasn't completely sold on it. What manages to make the comedy work as well as it does is the characters. The main gag of the cast seems to be to take a standard comedy archetype and give them one trait you typically see in a character of a different gender. Which might not sound like much, but it leads to an interesting contrast with each of the characters that made them infinitely more entertaining than if they had not done it. We get a smooth, pretty boy who's popular with all the ladies, but he's a social shut-in loser. We have a basketball player who's strong and skilled as can be, but he's also as bright and threatening as a little girl. And we get a love-struck, dopey schoolgirl and a dense, single-minded guy who's... well, okay, there's always room for an improvement. Seriously though, even though Sakura and Nozaki are still as standard as they come, they're right up there with the rest of the cast. Sakura's blind devotion to Nozaki and Nozaki's apparent ability to make everything related to manga made for some of the show's best jokes. Really, every character is a definite winner, but there are a few who shine more than the rest. Most notably Sakura's best friend Seo Yuzuki. Seo was easily the best part of the show, being a popular and skilled athlete who unknowingly torments almost everyone around her and has a complete and utter inability to understand even the most basic of situations. AKA, she's a fucking airhead. But nonetheless, her forceful behavior and constant need to make everything competitive made her perfect in nearly every scene she was in. She was the perfect blend of completely adorable and complete idiot. Just like Sei, almost everyone has some kind of interesting twist to them, but it's these small surprise character traits that give Nozaki's cast something unique and, funnily enough, almost gives each character perfect chemistry with each other. In any given situation, any character can be either silly, serious, or the voice of reason, and that's genuinely a rare feat for a series to be able to pull off. All the series needs for its jokes is to get 2 or 3 people together and the rest just writes itself. Most of the jokes come from basic silly character interactions with usually tied to shoujo manga in some way, which might not sound like the best, but the series manages to take it and do some really great stuff with it. Yet, the series never resorts to immature or perverted humor for anything. It's a special kind of show that has enough faith in itself to just tell jokes without resorting to pandering. It's a mature level of humor that isn't reliant on any one thing, and as a result manages to appeal to pretty much everyone on some level. In short, the one thing Nozaki goes for is comedy, and it nails that right out of the solar system. If I had to offer a complaint, and I'm really stretching for this one, it would be the fact that Nozaki is purely a comedy. Taken for what it is, Nozaki is near perfect, but on a story level, there's really nothing to it. Each episode's focus is purely on telling jokes and showing us character relationships, but none of these relationships really amount to anything in the end. Everyone is exactly the same at the end as they are when they first get introduced, meaning if you're the type who likes to pick your OTPs and ship people with each other, you get none of that resolution and things are left as open as the show draws to a close. The lack of a story or any conflict or drama made the series lack any true depth, and as a result, I never felt truly drawn in by the series. Much as I enjoyed it, I could never watch more than a few episodes of Nozaki at a time. It always stayed funny, but there wasn't enough past the humor to keep me around for long periods of time or leave me actively craving more. But, like I said, even that complaint is a real stretch. Nozaki isn't a series you watch for its story or to get deeply involved. It's a comedy, pure and simple. All that really matters is if you can watch and get a few laughs out of it, and laughs is the one thing that the show does perfectly. It's the perfect show to watch every once in a while just when you want to get a laugh or unwind without having to worry about drama or story. And even with my completely irrelevant complaints to the show, there was still something genuinely charming about the series that had me keep coming back for more. The only way this series can disappoint is if it just isn't your cup of tea and the humor isn't up your alley, in which case I do feel sorry for you because there's a lot to genuinely like here and missing out on it is a mistake. See you guys next time!